was looking right at you. How are you going to tell me that you didn't do it? Or that you weren't trying to? I call BS on that. Well then, what were you doing? Yeah, a likely story. I bet you always smash them when you see them, don't you? You're one of those people who think you're so much better than spiders. You probably go out of your way to do it to them. Why can't you just kneel down, pick it up, and take it outside? It's not like it's gonna do anything to you. Just take it out. What's the big deal? Just because they're dangerous to other insects doesn't necessarily mean they're dangerous to you, does it? That one right there, do you even know what kind it is? It's a daddy long legs. They're harmless. You know spiders have feelings too. Why don't I give you a little history lesson on spiders? Then you'll understand why I'm so up in arms about it. Well, it's the least you deserve for what you just tried to do. You can say that you didn't, but I saw you. Okay, fine. Maybe you were just standing too close and I thought you were going to. Maybe you didn't even see it at all. Or maybe, just maybe, you're lying to me. Either way, I'm about to school you on this breed. Ready? So sit down, relax, and just shut up while you learn the history of spiders. You need to. Then you'll never step on another one ever again. At least, I hope not, for your sake. Sit right there and listen. Spiders are air breathing. That's right, air breathing. Arthropods that have 8 limbs. Chelicerae with fangs, generally able to inject venom, and spinnerets that extrude silk. They are the largest order of arachnids and rank 7th in total species diversity among all orders of organisms. Spiders are found worldwide on every continent except Antarctica and have become established in nearly every land habitat. As of September 2024, 52,309 spider species in 134 families have been recorded by taxonomists. However, there has been debate among scientists about how families should be classified, with over 20 different classifications proposed since 1900. Do you know why spiders aren't on Antarctica? Take a wild guess. You're pretty smart. It's because it's too cold. temperatures on the continent are too cold. Antarctica is the only continent in the world where spiders don't live. The temperatures on the continent are too cold for spiders to live. Even if the spiders could live in the freezing temperatures, their natural food source, cockroaches, moths, and other insects, are not found here. Therefore, they would starve. See, if spiders were really so big and bad, they would still live on Antarctica because there are still humans there, and yet they don't because their target is not humans, it's other insects. So why are spiders human targets? What are they so afraid of? Why are they so threatened? I bet you won't even be able to remember that Antarctica is the only continent in which spiders don't live. Oh, you will you? I guess we'll see about that. Will you even remember that 52,309 spider species have been recorded? I doubt it. How are you gonna remember a number like 52,000? I guess if you just think about it like 50,000, you might have a better chance. But you don't look like you can retain that much information. Let's move on. Anatomically, spiders, as with all arachnids, from other arthropods, in that the usual body segments are fused into two tagmata, the cephalothorax or prosoma, and the soma or abdomen, and joined by a small cylindrical pedicle. However, as there is currently neither paleontological embryological evidence that spiders ever had a separate thorax-like division, there exists an argument against the validity of the term cephalothorax, which means fused, cephalon, which is the head, and the thorax. Cephalothorax, can you remember that? Cephalothorax. Cephalon, meaning the head. Cephalon. Fused together. Similarly, arguments can be formed against the use of the term abdomen, as the epithosoma of all spiders contains a heart and respiratory organs, atypical of an abdomen. Do you see how alive spiders are? They have a heart and respiratory organs. Do you? It doesn't seem like people have hearts when they squish them or squash them. What did the spiders ever do to them? In fact, spiders get rid of pesky insects as all their ganglia are fused into one mass in the cephalothorax. Unlike most arthropods, spiders have no extensor muscles in their limbs and instead extend them by hydraulic pressure. And if you don't know what ganglia is, a ganglion is a group of neuron cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system. In the somatic nervous system, this includes dorsal root ganglia and trigeminal ganglia, among a few others. In the autonomic nervous system, there are both sympathetic and parasympathetic ganglia. Basically, what it keeps reiterating is how fused together a spider's body is and what it contains in that fusion. But carrying on, their abdomens bear appendages modified into spinnerets that extrude silk from up to 6 types of glands. Spider webs vary widely in size, shape, and the amount of sticky thread used. It now appears that the spiral orb web may be one of the earliest forms, and spiders that produce tangled cobwebs are more abundant and diverse than orb weaver spiders. Spider-like argonauts, while still producing spigots, appeared in the Devonian period about 386 million years ago. But these animals apparently lacked spinnerets. True spiders have been found in Carboniferous rocks from 318 to 299 million years ago, and are very similar to the most primitive surviving suborder, the Mesothelea. The main groups of modern spiders, Mygalomorphae and Araneomorphae, first appeared in the Triassic period, more than 200 million years ago. The species Bachyra kiplingi was described as but all other known species are predators, mostly prey insects and other spiders, although a few large species also take birds and lizards. The Bachyra kiplingi is a species of jumping spider found in Central America, including Mexico, Costa Rica, and Guatemala. It is the type species of the genus Bachyra, which includes 3 other species, including B. prosper. B. kiplingi is notable for its peculiar diet, which is mostly herbivore. And if you don't know what herbivore is, it means that this spider eats plants. Kind of like a caterpillar. detect prey mainly by sensing vibrations, but the active hunters have acute vision, and hunters of the choice of tactics and ability to develop new ones. Do you understand what that means? That means that spiders are so smart that they can avoid detection and have acute hunter senses. Acute vision. Do you know what acute means? When there's 3 angles of vision. Spiders' guts are too narrow to take solids, so they liquefy their food by flooding it with digestive enzymes. They also grind food with the bases of their pedipalps, as arachnids do not have the mandibles that crustaceans and insects have. And if you don't know what pedipalps are the secondary pair of forward appendages among chelicerates, a group of arthropods including spiders, scorpions, horseshoe crabs, and sea spiders. The pedipalps are lateral to the jaws and anterior to the first pair of walking legs. To avoid being eaten by the females, which are typically much larger, male spiders identify themselves as potential mates. Males of most species survive a few matings, mainly by their short lifespans. Females weave silk egg cases, each of which may contain hundreds of eggs. Females of many species care for their young, for example, by carrying them around or by sharing food with them. A minority of species webs anywhere from a few to 50,000 individuals. Social behavior ranges from precarious toleration, as in the widow spiders, to cooperative hunting and rain. Although most spiders live for at most 2 years, tarantulas and other megalomorph spiders can live up to 25 years in captivity. Think about that. Spiders in captivity can live to 25 years, yet most spiders only make it to the 2nd year of their life due to threats like people and other dangerous things out and about in the world. Isn't it interesting that spiders will share webs? I bet you didn't know that. Did you? Did you know that most spiders live to be only 2 when they could live up to 25? Isn't that such a shame? We shouldn't have to keep spiders in captivity just to allow them life. We should stop trying to smash them, shouldn't we? Let's keep going. While the venom of a few species is dangerous to humans, superior to synthetic materials, and spider silk genes have been inserted into mammals and plants to see if these can be used as silk factories. As a result of their wide range of behaviors, spiders have become common symbols in art and mythology, symbolizing various combinations of patience, cruelty, and creative powers. An irrational fear of spiders is called arachnophobia. Do you have an irrational fear of spiders? Remember, their venom is being now used in medicine and non-polluting pesticides. Spiders are only trying to help the world, not harm it. And notice that they're not saying that spiders are after humans. It's very rare that a spider will go after a human. And on the off chance that they do bite you, it's mostly when you've accidentally rolled over onto them or touched them in some way, like when you're sleeping. They're not coming just to feast on you. Can you even remember what I've told you so far? Tell me 3 things that I've told you about spiders right now. I'll help you. 1. The only continent in which spiders cannot be found, well, where they cannot live, is Antarctica because of the temperature. 2. There's 52,309 species that have been identified. And let's see, which should our third one be? Our third one can be that venom has been experimented with in medicine. And that females are larger than males. And that spiders typically live for 2 years, but can live as long as 25 in captivity. Let's see if we can retain that information, shall we? Let's get into the etymology. The word spider derives from Proto-Germanic, literally spinner, a reference to how spiders make their webs, from the Proto-Indo-European root spen, to draw, stretch, and spin. So, spider is literally derived from the word spinner because that's what they do. Let's get into the anatomy and physiology. Body plan. Spiders are chelicerates and therefore arthropods. As arthropods, they have segmented bodies with jointed limbs, all covered in a cuticle made of chitin and proteins. Heads that are composed of several segments that fuse. During the development of the embryo, being chelicerates, their bodies consist of 2 sets of segments that serve similar functions. The foremost one, called the cephalothorax, or prosoma, is a complete fusion of the segments that in an insect would form two separate stigmata. In biology, a stigma is a specialized grouping of multiple segments or metameres into a coherently functional morphological unit. Familiar examples are the head, the thorax, and the abdomen of insects. These segments within a stigma may be either fused or so jointed as to be independently movable. The thorax, or chest, is a part of the anatomy of animals and other tetrapod animals located between the neck and the abdomen. So remember that the thorax is the chest. A complete fusion of the segments in an insect would form two separate stigmata. In thorax, the rear stigma is called the abdomen or opistosoma. In spiders, the cephalothorax and abdomen are connected by a small cylindrical section, the pedicel. And to remember what cephalothorax is, it would be the head and chest. Cephalothorax is the combination of the head and chest. Now let's move on. The pattern of segment fusion that forms chelicerates heads is unique among arthropods, and what would normally be the first head segment disappears at an early stage of development, so that chelicerates lack the antennae typical of most arthropods. In fact, chelicerates' only appendages ahead of the mouth are a pair of chelicerae, and they lack anything that would function directly as jaws. The first appendages behind the mouth are called pedipalps and serve different functions within different groups of chelicerates. Spiders and scorpions are members of one chelicerate group, the arachnids. Scorpions' chelicerae have three sections and are used in feeding. Spiders' chelicerae have two sections and terminate in fangs that are generally venomous and fold away behind the upper sections while not in use. The upper sections generally have thick beards that filter solid lumps out of their food, as spiders can take only liquid food. The scorpions' pedipalps generally form large claws for capturing prey, while those of spiders are fairly small appendages whose bases also act as an extension of the mouth. In addition, those of male spiders have enlarged last sections used for SPERM transfer. So the pedipalps, if you can remember, the pedipalps are near the mouth of the spider. They look like legs, but they are not legs. They almost look like outer fangs in a way. In spiders, the cephalothorax and abdomen are joined by a small cylindrical have segmented plates on the upper surface. Circulation and respiration. So I'm going to tell you what spiders have within their bodies so you can realize what you're squashing when you squash it. They have a brain. That's right, a brain. A sucking stomach. An aorta. An intestine. They have a heart. They have digestive tubule. They have an ovary. They have a malpighian tubule. They have a stercoral pocket. They have an anus. They have a spinneret, which is below the anus. They have a silk gland. They have an oviduct. They have a SPE RM receptacle. They have a book lung, a digestive succum, fang, esophagus, venom canal, a venom gland, and a simple eye. Think about what you just heard. Spiders have brains and hearts and lungs. When you step on a spider, you're stepping on somebody's heart. Like other arthropods, spiders are collimates, in which the column is reduced to small areas around the reproductive and excretory systems. Its place is largely taken by a hemocole, a cavity that runs most of the length of the body. Blood flows. The heart is a tube in the upper part of the body with a few ostia that act as valves, allowing blood to enter the heart from the hemocole but prevent it from leaving before it end. However, in spiders, it occupies only the upper part of the abdomen. Blood is discharged into the hemocole by one artery that opens at the rear end of the abdomen, and by branching arteries that pass through the pedicle and open into several parts of the cephalothorax. Hence, spiders have open circulatory systems. The blood of many spiders that have book lungs contains the respiratory pigment hemocyanin to make oxygen transport more efficient. Spiders have developed several different respiratory anatomies based on book lungs, a tracheal system, or both. Megalomorph and the Methylolae spiders have two pairs of book lungs filled with hemolymph, where openings on the ventral surface of the abdomen allow air to enter and diffuse oxygen. This is also the case for some basal neomorph spiders, like the family Hypogelidae, but the remaining members of this group have just the anterior pair of book lungs intact, while the posterior pair of breathing organs are partly or tracheal system has most likely evolved in small ancestors to help resist desiccation. Desiccation is the state of extreme dryness, or the process of extreme drying. A desiccant is a microscopic substance that induces or sustains such a state in its local vicinity in a moderately sealed container. The word desiccation comes from Latin thoroughly and secare, to dry. The trachea were originally connected to the surroundings through a pair of openings called spiracles. But in the majority of spiders, this pair of spiracles has fused into a single one in the middle. And moved backwards close to the spinnerets. Spiders that have trachea generally have higher metabolic rates and better water conservation. Spiders are ectotherms, so environmental affect their activity. That's why they cannot live in Antarctica. If you don't know what an ectotherm is, an ectotherm, more commonly referred to as a cold-blooded animal, is an animal in which internal physiological sources of heat, such as blood, are of relatively small or of quite negligible importance in controlling body temperature. Such organisms rely on environmental heat sources. In other words, spiders are cold-blooded, thus they need warm temperatures. Now, do you want to know more? You should, because I'm sure you'll run into a lot more spiders in your life. Let's do the feeding, digestion, and excretion. Uniquely among chelicerates, the final sections of spiders' chelicerae are fangs, and the great majority of spiders can use them to inject venom into prey from venom glands in the roots of the chelicerae. And if you don't know what chelicerae are, the chelicerae are the mouthparts of the subphylum Chelicerata, an arthropod group that includes arachnids, horseshoe crabs, and sea spiders. Remember, they're commonly referred to as jaws. Chelicerae may be shaped as either articulated fangs or as a type of pincers. They're like outside of the mouth fangs. Now, the families Uloboridae and Halarchidae and some Liphistidae spiders have lost their venom glands and demolish their prey with silk instead. Do you understand? They have lost their venom glands, and they use silk So do you understand that spiders can only take liquids, which is why if you see a fly in a spider web, that is no longer with us. Its body is still intact, but it's no longer breathing because all of its liquid has been taken out of it. In other words, spiders feed on blood. Now, let's move on. The stomach in the cephalothorax acts as a pump that sends the food deeper into the digestive system. The midgut bears many digestive ceca compartments with no other exit that extract nutrients from the food. Most are in the abdomen, which is dominated by the digestive system, but a few are found in the cephalothorax. Most spiders convert nitrogenous waste products into acid, which can be excreted as a dry material. Malpighian tubules, little tubes, extract these wastes from the blood and the hemocoel and dump them into the cloacal chamber, from which they are expelled through the production of uric acid and its removal via Malpighian tubules are a conserving feature that has evolved independently in several arthropod lineages far away from water. For example, the tubules of insects and arachnids develop completely different parts of the embryo. However, in few primitive spiders, the suborder Mesolidae, infraorder Mygalomorphae retain the ancestral arthropod nephridia, little kidneys, which use large amounts of water to excrete nitrogenous waste products as ammonia. Now let's get to the central nervous system. The basic arthropod central nervous system consists of a pair of nerve cords running below the gut, with paired ganglia as local control centers in all segments. A brain formed by fusion of the ganglia for the head segments ahead of and behind the mouth, so that the esophagus is encircled by this conglomeration of ganglia. Except for the primitive mesotheliae, of which the Lephistidae are the sole surviving family, spiders have the much more centralized nervous systems that is typical of arachnids. All the ganglia of all segments behind the esophagus are fused, so that the cephalothorax is largely filled with nervous tissue. No ganglia in the abdomen. In the mesotheliae, the ganglia of the abdomen and the rear part of the cephalothorax remain unfused. Despite the relatively small central nervous system, some spiders, like Portia, exhibit complex behavior, including the ability to use a trial and error approach. Do you understand what that means? Despite having small central nervous systems and brains, the spiders are very complex and use trial and error in their behavior. If they see something doesn't work, they rectify it. They have working minds. So what do you think they're thinking when you step on them? Instead, you should be shooing them out of your house. You should pick them up and take them outside. Even if you need to use a gum or a paper, which is very simple. Don't be so afraid. What's a little spider This jumping spider's main little eyes are very acute. Remember, that's three-angle vision. The outer pair are secondary eyes, and there are other pairs of secondary eyes on the side and top of the head. Other differences between the principal and secondary eyes are that the latter have photomeres that point away from incoming light, just like invertebrates, while the arrangement is the opposite in the former. The principal eyes are also the only ones with muscles allowing them to move the retina. Having no muscles, the secondary eyes are immobile. Do you understand what this means? It means that even though spiders have many eyes, it's only the first pair that actually can detect objects, images. The other pair help with reflective lights and cannot move like the first pair. It's almost like it's just enhanced vision. Shining light on an already seen image from the first pair. The visual acuity of some jumping spiders exceeds by a factor of 10 that of dragonflies, which have by far the best vision among insects. This acuity is achieved by a telephotographic series of lenses, a 4-layer retina, and the ability to swivel the eyes and integrate images from different stages in the scan. The downside is that the scanning and integrating processes are relatively slow. There are spiders with a reduced number of eyes, the most common having 6 eyes, with a pair of eyes absent on the anterior median line. Species have 4 eyes, and members of the Caponidae family can have as few as 2. Cave-dwelling species have no eyes, or possess vestigial eyes incapable of sight. In other words, spiders can have anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 eyes. And the cave-dwelling ones have no eyes and no sight. So they must rely on their other senses. I suppose it makes sense. It's not like a spider has much to see in a dark cave, do they? Let's learn about other senses. As with other arthropods, spiders' cuticles would block out information about the outside world, sensors or connections from sensors to the nervous system. In fact, spiders and other arthropods have cuticles into elaborate arrays of sensors. Various touch sensors, mostly bristles called setae, respond to different levels of force, from strong contact to very weak air currents. Chemical sensors provide equivalents of taste and smell, often by means of setae. An adult Arrhenius may have up to 1,000 chemosensitive setae, most on the tarsi of the first pair of legs. In biology, setae are any of a number of different bristle or hair-like structures on living organisms. This means that spiders are able to sense things through the hair on their bodies. You know how spiders have hairy legs, so they can sense through that hair. So that means that spiders can taste and smell through that hair. Males have more Spiders lack balance and acceleration sensors and rely on their eyes to tell them which way is up. Arthropods, proprioceptors, sensors that report the force exerted by muscles and the degree of bending in the body and joints, are well understood. On the other hand, little is known about what other internal sensors spiders or other arthropods may have. Some spiders use their webs for hearing, where the giant webs function as extended and reconfigurable auditory sensors. So do you remember things that you've learned that I've just told you? Okay, let's name a few then. The only continent which spiders don't live is Antarctica because of the cold temperature. Spiders are cold-blooded and need warm temperatures to exist in. Spiders can live up to 25 years in captivity, but only typically 2 out and about in the world. What else do you remember? Yeah, they have heart and lungs and a brain. They're complex creatures. And the cephalothorax is the infusion of the head and the chest. Do you remember? Spiders can only eat liquefied food. Are you going to be able to retain any of this information? Well, you might wanna, because I have a confession to make. A spider. I got the chance to become human form, to see what it was like, and I've got to admit, I prefer the spider lifestyle more. But you know what? I'm glad I got this body for a moment, because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have been able to do anything about you potentially offing that peer of mine. I bet you're apologetic now, aren't you? I bet you can't even tell what kind of spider I am. Go on, take a guess. Good guess.